The opening meeting of the season for GT Cup Europe in 2025 concludes here at the Autodromo Internacional de Algarve. The 4.653-kilometre circuit gave us a heck of a race yesterday that went right down to the penultimate corner of the 50-minute race in favour of the number 91 crew of Fame's team Porsche of Luca Franca and Ian Rodriguez. But it's a different story today. They're starting on the front row of the grid, but behind them, or ahead of them, I should say, is the AM champions, Dieter Schweppes, number 911 Porsche of the new team, Leandro Martins Racing Motorsport, after they moved from the Rackart team that they won the championship with last year. Heading out onto the grid now is the Portuguese entered machine home race for the team and for drivers as well. Heading to the grid, it's another 50-minute encounter, and George Morgan, after yesterday's nail-biting finish, we're very much looking forward to seeing this one. Very different complexion to this race.
Vastly. I think when we looked at the finish of yesterday's encounter, I mean, fair play. I mean, we've got to give plaudits to Laura van den Hengel, first and foremost, taking over the reins from Paul Meyer's extremely solid performance. To say solid is probably doing it an injustice in many ways. It was absolutely stupendous for the Burgers Motorsport team in their debut outing to get the race underway. When the driver change period opened up, though, it was down to Laura van den Hengel to take it to the finish line, and she, of course, was very disappointed she could not lay down the overall victory. She was only one corner away from sealing the deal, but a Pro-Am win was taken nonetheless. But credit to Ian Rodriguez, who came across the line and took the team to victory right to the top of the shop. A wonderful outing for them as well, and they'll look ahead to this one hopefully with wide smiles as well, in hope of once again claiming another phenomenal result. But you've got to give credit to Dieter Schweppes as well. Leandro Martins back again this season, of course, representing in AM class, but still giving the Pro-Am and the Silvers a run for their money.
Absolutely, and of course 3 classes to be concerned about now with the introduction of the new silver class for 2025, so all silver lineups, of which there are 7 out there on the grid that occupy the top 12 as well. There's a mixture of the Pro-Am and AM cars all the way through the order as well, but of course that's in addition to the existing Pro-Am and AM categories that we've run since the inception of GT Cup Europe in 2019. This is the first of 6 world-class venues that we'll be racing at this year, with visits to Spa-Francorchamps in a few weeks in May, then over to Hockenheim for the 2nd time for this championship, back to Paul Ricard, Barcelona, and then rounding out the season in Monza in October as well, each with 2 50-minute races. This is the car that very nearly took the outright win yesterday, the Paul Meyer and Laura van den Hengel Burgers Motorsport by Hans Wies Motorsport. And I was catching up with Paul earlier on and getting a grip for how the Hans Wies team has been getting on with the car, and was surprised to realise that actually it's only their 2nd year running the car. They ran it in Carrera Cup Benelux last year. That was their first time doing it, and just looking at how well they've operated in their first weekend in GT Cup, you would think, you know, they've been running it for 10 years, you know. It's a good an operation out there, and seemingly as on top of the car as a track like Q1 Track Racing that's, you know, dominated the team's championship over the last few years.
Yeah, 4 years and counting for Q1 Track Racing thus far, but for Burgers Motorsport in their first season to do what they did is absolutely phenomenal. And again, they've got another great opportunity. Laura van den Hengel put it in a brilliant stint today in qualifying, started inside the top 10, P9 ahead of Antoine Berberick, who was also impressive and taking the reins in silver class. But Laura van den Hengel will be handing over to the brilliant Paul Meyer, who put in that big stint that was essentially the difference maker during the course of that first race as well. So yeah, if she gets a nice clean run to open up this race, they'll have a great chance. But you've got to look at elsewhere on the grid as well. Pietro Armani, who really did fly from the clouds in yesterday's race. He's going to be another threat to the rest of the runners on this grid, but no less a threat is this pairing of Dieter Schweppes and Leandro Martins. Rackar now renamed to LMR Motorsport, and we welcome them them to the grid this time around, with Ian Rodriguez also returning after victory yesterday. Fame's team getting off to the perfect start. Also a debuting team in motorsport coming in as well, alongside Luca Franco, who did the opening stint yesterday. We got Longoni as well, with Pietro Armani, of course, moving from single-seaters into Porsche racing. It looks certainly that Armani has not missed a step whatsoever. And fresh out of the International GT Open race, well, Babini is back again. Race after race. He's already just managed to come across the line. Has already taken the checkered flag once today. He's going to do it once more, but we'll be handing across to Davide Scaniccio for the driver change period.
Big fans at Volcano Motorsport, keeping Evgeny Leonov cool, calm and collective, starting from 5th on the grid. Plenty of really strong performances in the AM category. Franville Bugliotti, one of them as well. He starts 2nd in class ahead of yesterday's AM class winner H. De Mello on his return to the series. Well, started out in a GT4 Porsche before stepping up to Cup machinery halfway through the 2023 season. This is the first of the Ferraris. The Davide Larini, number 83 from Murtal Motorsport, made their GT3 debut this weekend as well in the International GT Open, but still with a very strong presence in the Cup Championship with 5 Ferraris, 2 of them the new 296 that was introduced globally last year, but the first time we've seen it here in GT Cup Europe, with a strong balance of performance to keep that car in line. This is the first of those 296s. Antoine Berberick, solo driver, the 18-year-old from Germany, the son of Ulrich Berberick that Klaus Ludwig used to race with, and of course with Luca Ludwig being the reigning champion in GT Cup with Murtal Motorsport, the connection there is clear to see.
Yeah, Lars Zanen also lining up in 11th place. Be looking for a big run this time around as well. Be looking for a decent start, a decent jump, as of course we do run a rolling start here in this championship. Murtal Motorsport back again as well, with Luca De Marchi behind the wheel for the opening stint thus far. Of course, he'll be handing over deeper into the race as well. But let's take a look at the highlights from yesterday's race.
Race 1 went right down to the wire. It was Q1 track racing up at the front of the field for the start of the race, but it was the Paul Meyer car that got the whole shot into the first corner from pole position, closely followed by those 2 Q1 track racing cars. Evgeny Leonov getting a tag and spinning round on the first lap. Laura van den Hengel took over from Paul Meyer into the lead of the race, but it was Team Fem's Ian Rodriguez who was carving up the order, first of all past the Q1 track racing Porsche number 11 that was hop, skipping and bouncing over the curbs, then getting past another Q1 car, the Lars Zanen, number 53, into the hairpin, then setting his sights on Laura van den Hengel. It came all the way down to the penultimate corner of the race on the last lap, with van den Hengel just getting a little bit of a swapper that allowed Ian Rodriguez to come through and take the victory for the first time in GT Cup Europe for himself and his teammate Luca Franco on debut in the series for the Italian as well. So this is what it's done to the championship standings after the first race of the season. It is Ian Rodriguez and Luca Franco who lead by 3 points to Laura van den Hengel and Paul Meyer, but their silver class rivals, Ludovico Longoni, Pietro Armani, Lars Zanen and Gonzalo Fernandez, still in close proximity. Race 2 for GT Cup Europe about to get underway. Another 50 minutes of racing here is how they line up for the starting grid. It's Dieter Schweppes on pole position in the LMR run Porsche. Ian Rodriguez, the silver class car from Team Fames, yesterday's race winner, starts alongside him. Pietro Armani for ZRS Motorsport, returning to the championship, starting 3rd ahead of Fabio Babini for Tsunami Racing. Evgeny Leonov starts 5th for Volcano Motorsport, and then Franfal Bugliotti in the 33 GDL car. H. De Mello again for GDL starts 7th ahead of Davide Larini in the Ferrari 488 from Murtal. Laura van den Hengel, Pro-Am win yesterday, starts from 9th. Antoine de Berrick continues his first weekend of racing in 10th. Lars Zanen 11th for Q1 track racing. And then Luca De Marchi in the Ferrari 296 from Murtal number 80. Florentin Cescu for RI1 13th. Then Gabriel Lancieri in 63. Giacomo Cuberia in the 67 GDL car, and then Gianluca Giorgi in the 54 machine from Ebby Motors. They're making their debut this weekend. Nico van Dierendonk for the 57 Q1 car, and then the other Q1 track racing car of Nicola Salins in number 11 and 18th position. Glauco Solieri in number 12. Peter Furter for the number 56. It's the second of the LMR Motorsport Porsches. Riccardo Romagnoli in 21st, and Stefano Zerbi, a pair of SP run cars. Sebastian Fortuna in 23rd. Luciano Priviatello in the sole Lamborghini Super Trofeo in 24th. And then on the back of the grid is Mauro Trentin in the number 82 Myrtel car, alongside Leo Chen in the 81 Myrtel car. 26 cars to lead the field. It's a very strong grid, a mixture of Porsche machinery, 20 of them, 5 Ferrari, 2 296, 3 488, and 1 Lamborghini Super Trofeo. Balance of performance that keeps them all in check as well. So it will be another 50 minutes of racing to come. What are we expecting down at the first corner, George?
Well, I think we're definitely going to see a mishmash. I think definitely for sure, though, Dietrich Schwebsker's got the pace to lead them to the front end. Obviously, further back, you'll have to keep your eyes peeled on Ian Rodriguez. But the big factor, again, we say it time on time, is going to be the handicap phase when the pit stops come into play. Obviously, the likes of Paul Meyer, Laura van den Hengel, they'll be serving 10 seconds. We've got to factor in Stina's Long and Nicolas Salins will be serving 5. H. de Mello, of course, serving 10. And, of course, 10 being served by Luca Franca, Ian Rodriguez, who went on to take the overall victory in yesterday's race as well. But this hands opportunities then to other cars around the grid. I'm looking in particular at the likes of Pietro Armani, who's going to put in the initial stint as well. That car is going to have a great chance, of course, number 22, with Ludovico Longoni taking over during the driver change window period. And, of course, the likes of Evgeny Leonov, who has had misfortune here at this circuit at Portimao several times. But anything can change, anything can happen. Safety cars can change a race in an instant.
Absolutely can, and so the cars form the 2x2 formation to get the race underway. The safety car still leading them around the final corner, but eventually it will peel off to pit lane on driver's right. So on the left-hand side, as we will look at it, the luminescent Porsche number 911, Racar Motorsport for them last year. Now the brand new LMR team, new staff and new people running that car, completely new squad for the reigning AM champions, but the same machinery with Ian Rodriguez alongside him in the Fames car that won yesterday, the dark green machine. What will happen when the lights go out? We will find out shortly as we go racing for the second time in Portimao. And already a big smash into the wall, including yesterday's Pro-Am race winner Laura van den Hengel and the 53 car of Lars Zanen from Q1 Track Racing. Now surely we're going to have a safety car here because those are 2 big hits into the wall.
Yeah, absolutely right. It looks like that Burgers Motorsport car has suffered and sustained a heavy impact there right at the very get-go. Not a great start at all for them, or for Laura van den Hengel at all. By extension, as now the 56 climbs over the crest as well, heading down through towards Torre Vip. That is Peter Furter looking to move his way up a place as well. Evgeny Leonov going side by side as well on the way down through towards turn 5 as they file through, heading uphill now out of turn 6, and there is the clear debris and some visible smoke billowing out, or steam coming out of that engine bay inside that Porsche. Unfortunately for the 992 GT3 Cup car, well, the both of them, they're going to be firmly out of this race, and the safety car has been called out.
Yeah, unsurprisingly there, and so they'll have to sort themselves out, and if it's side by side, as we saw there on the exit of turn 7, gone to make sure you don't accidentally illegally take the place. But a big shunt there for Laura van den Hengel. The front hood of the car open. Of course, that's not where you find the engine in a Porsche, so some sort of coolant overheating maybe. Not too sure of the intricacies of what you find under the front of a 992 Cup car. I know that's where the fuel tank goes, but yeah.
So it's more likely potentially steam or something billowing at the front.
But either way, very sorry looking Porsche, and a lot of work for the Hans Wies Motorsport crew to get on top of. And the safety car will go through the pit lane to avoid the debris down on the start and finish straight. So After all that, not too much change up at the front of the field. It's Dieter Sveps who leads, Ian Rodriguez, Pietro Armani, Fabio Babini, so top 4 unchanged. Franville Bugliotti, I think, managed to make up a place ahead of Evgeny Leonov into 5th. Davide Larini 7th. So yeah, that's one place up. Antoine Burberry up 2 spots as well. H. De Mello struggled off the line there, I think, so dropped a few places. Luca Di Marchi inside the top 10, but the cars will go through the pit lane to avoid the debris.
Obviously, it's strewn across the straight at the moment. We just saw, obviously, at the very start, it looked like H. De Mello was coming under scrutiny from Antoine Burbrick. Of course, he of course, in his car, managing to hold position. Here's the start. Now, keep our eyes peeled on the Burgers Motorsport machine. Oh, wow,
it was contact with Dimarchi.
Dimarchi, yeah.
So Dimarchi hit the side of Zainen's car that speared him into Laura van den Hengel. So she was an absolute passenger.
Bystander.
And yeah, I'm not sure how Dimarchi managed to make contact. Okay, so it wasn't the best getaway for van den Hengel. Zainen goes off to the left while Dimarchi's also going right to clear the car in front of him. They just meet in the middle, and that spears them both. So watch them both meet in the middle here. Dimarchi goes right, Zainen goes left. They meet in the middle, and it's 2 cars in the wall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
also
blimey,
saw a car go off in the grass as well on the left-hand side, and Paul Meyer obviously dishing his frustration off the back of it. And here we have more reactions inside the garages elsewhere as well. A really heavy impact, and obviously the marshals on hand doing a brilliant job, as they always do. The truck out on circuit as well to clear the stricken cars off the side of the road. Obviously they have to shut down this long straight, utilize the pit lane, because there is so much debris out on track, and also a lot of activity out in that area, as well, as they look to pick up every scrap that might then cause an imposition to the rest of the runners that will go green. Will go racing when we do go green eventually, as the timer ticks on. We still have 45 minutes and 50 or so to go. Like I said, safety cars can certainly change the game, and this will of course impact those that are essentially running their pro drivers in the initial stint. So for the likes of Babini, for example, this is not an ideal start.
No, it certainly isn't, nor for...
Good to see Laura's out the car okay as well.
Absolutely. So,
yeah.
It was a big hit into the wall, but yeah, all looks okay out there. I think Babini is the only Pro-Am runner with the pro driver in at the moment. Everyone else seems to have their bronze, so this is really only bad news for for Tsunami, apparently. But it also goes both ways with the AM Championship as well. Dieter Stretz, we know, is the quicker of the 2 in that 911 car. And actually, it was the converse last year, where when they took the overall win, it was Leandro Martins who spent basically the entire first stint behind the safety car for Dieter to then go and sweep up everyone else later on. We seem to have the opposite here at the moment. And even in the silver class cars, you know, Ian Rodriguez, Pietro Armani, they were slightly quicker of the 2 yesterday, so it's not great news for them. This could really, shake things up in terms of the order. And also, what we've got to consider as well, we've lost 2 big championship protagonists in that crash, one in Pro-Am and one in terms of the overall silver class as well, because you know, Q1 track racing, they only got 1 car in the silver class, but Lars Zanen has been a race winner before, and they were fighting for the podium yesterday.
Yeah, they certainly were, and obviously this time around they're not going to be featuring for the remainder of this race. Now out of it, so no points. Be points lost here for Lars Zanen. And equally for Laura van den Hengel, who now walks away from the incident as well. Obviously, the Burgers Motorsport team crowding around here, and I think obviously some conversing between the teams.
Bath, there is the technical term there. That's about all I got. But yeah, just meeting in the middle, and
that's a huge impact.
There was nothing Laura van den Hengel could have done about that, really. The 2 cars just meeting in the middle, Lars Zanen and Luca Dimarchi. Luca is still circulating out there in 10th position.
The R01 Porsche as well, dodging and weaving. You could just see the domino effect after the major crash into the barrier. He had to go. Just look at this on the left-hand side. Obviously, this is the big collision, obviously, that first took hold. And then if we take a look here, you can just see the after effects where the R01 Porsche had to dodge and weave. This is Paul Meyer's reaction to what had happened. Obviously, you can understand his disappointment, because they were on for a huge result here. It was a magnificent qualifying session for Burgers Motorsport again, especially after taking pole on day one. They put themselves in the top 10 fight. Bear in mind, Laura van den Hengel showing that she has got the pace to compete, obviously, against even some of the best Pro-Ams and also the best silvers as well.
Became the first race winner in GT Cup, first woman to win in GT Cup, I should say, with a Pro-Am victory yesterday. The now Iron Dames supported driver. Now this looks like dramas for Luciano Privitello in the Lamborghini Huracan, the SVC run machine. Of course, all the cars are going through pit lane anyway, but he's actually stopped in the box.
Yeah. And he's not the only one, because the R01 Porsche of Florentin Sescu has done the same as well. So that's the Romanian outfit that have come in for a rethink and maybe just a brief check. Like I said, I was the one that kind of was weaving at the very start. You do have to wonder, maybe could it so easily happen? Debris flies across the circuit, maybe even catching under the tyres or something like that. It can happen. You know, that's physics at the end of the day. Fortuna also making his way back out onto the circuit. Of course, they've all been running through the pit lane thus far, but those two in particular taking lengthy stints in the pits just for a check. And at the moment, in Sescu, according to our timing screen, still in there right now.
Yes, and because that car was slow away, so I wonder if that had a mechanical issue from the get-go out there. But the safety car lights will soon be turning off because it will be coming in at the end of this lap. So the debris cleared from the start-finish straight, and we will have attempt number 2 to get this race underway. Of course, it will be single-file formation when Dieter Sveps puts the hammer down. He now becomes the safety car. In effect, he'll control the pace out of the last 2 corners and wait for the moment for him to get going. Still back in the pack up. Of course, it's an awfully long run around the final corner, very fast final corner, and then down to the first corner as well. But it looks as though, or it sounds as though, he's already put the hammer down. Yes, he has. So after 10 minutes under safety car, we go back racing again in race 2 for GT Cup Europe in Portimao. Dieter Sveps leads the field by 0.8 of a second over Ian Rodriguez. Pietro Armani in the ZRS Motorsport car sitting in 3rd position. Fabio Babini 4th. Fran van Vilbugliotti in 5th. Evgeny Leonov in 6th. Davide Larini, Antoine de Berberic, H. De Mello and Luca Di Marchi, your top 10. But Babini trying to make a move for 3rd position on Pietro Armani, the Carrera Cup Italy racer in front of him in the ZRS Motorsport car, coming under big pressure from Babini.
Yeah, showing no signs of anywhere at all is Fabio Babini after his lengthy stint in the International GT Open earlier on today, and already taken to the track here in GT Cup Europe and looking to pounce here on Armani. Up ahead of him as they now stretch uphill, coming out of turn 5 through turn 6, 7, and soon to be turn 8 out of Samson Corner. We also have Larini for the down. That's Davide Larini, currently operating in 7th place, with Antoine Berberic hovering all over his tail. That's the 2 silver drivers making up a 3-part silver contingent. That includes Eugenio Leonov up into 6th place. Again, Babini haunting that rear wing on Pietro Armani's car as they swiftly move uphill, coming through towards turns 11 and turns 12. And again, Babini favouring that tighter, which shows you the outer line, and now looking to cut back as they look to head downhill again once more. Now, the heavy braking zone might come into play. Will Babini go later onto the brakes? No, not this time. Instead, opted to take a wider angle and then looking to cut back on the run down through towards turn 13 and turn 14. But it's Dieter Sveps who takes them around. Then there's Rodriguez. Pietro Armani trying to nurse his car along. Babini looking like a mega threat though, Chris.
Certainly is. A little bit wider was the ZRS Motorsport car there through the last couple of corners. They bounce and you see the cars buck and weave as they hit the bump in the middle of the Galp corner. And Babini's got a very impressive run here down the start and finish straight. The bodywork will be shaking in the turbulent air of the ZRS car in front of him. Very nearly side by side between them. A bit of chasing further back as well, but going into the first corner, Babini holds station. It's side by side with Luca Di Marchi and the 56 cars at Peter Furter, making his way through into 10th position ahead of the Ferrari 296. And now with Gabriele Lancieri for close company as well in 63.
As they now climb over the crest, Armani and Babini still locked at the hip now. Obviously no change was made, or was it? Babini finally getting the move done and heading up into third in accordance to our timing screen. So well done to Fabio Babini at this moment in time. Has gone purple in the first sector as well, as they all start to cluster up, heading downhill as well. H. de Mello also down in 9th place behind Antoine Berberic, with Peter Furter, who has managed to obviously place himself in the midst of a scrap with De Marchi down in 11th place in the AT Ferrari. Obviously representing in silver, Klaas Lancieri just populating in behind him. Nico van Dierendonk, obviously a staunch member, part of the Q1 track racing outfit, also back in representing in the opening stint for the first time this season. And he'll be handing over later on as well. But of course now, as we watch the cars fly through the latter sector this time around, coming out of turn 13 through towards turn 14 and 15 around the final corner, we can just see there a little bit of tight action there between Rodriguez and Babini, of course, who's already unseated Armani. Babini showing that he is certainly no slouch still, especially after already a very intense race, Chris.
Car bouncing again on the final corner, and yeah, a very intense Pro-Am fight in the GT Open race, and it's not exactly cold out there. It's been a pretty toasty weekend, and I can only imagine what it's like inside these cars. It's Babini, the fastest car on track at the moment, 1:46.2 for the Italian, multiple champion across various GT series, of course. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt to go with it as well. Hugely experienced as he makes his way down the back straight, and still in the wheel tracks of Ian Rodriguez, the Guatemalan driver who made the move at the penultimate corner yesterday to take the win on the final lap. Rodriguez able to respond though to Babini's pace. Sveps is going to enjoy seeing them battling in his mirrors. He's 1.5 seconds clear of the chasing packs. We've got Am, Silver and Pro-Am all represented in the top 3 at the moment.
We do, and Babini only 5/10 away from jumping past the silver driver here at this moment in time, and opting for a different line again, an aggressive one. Something we have seen time in on time already at Portimao, as they now descend downhill and then fly upwards yet again through towards turn 13 out of turn 12. Babini still hovering all over the back. We speak about Babini's experience always. Of course, he has one of the most impressive catalogue of history in the world of motorsport. I think of anybody here in this championship, but many can challenge him, I suppose, for that feat in many ways. And, you know, Ian Rodriguez has done his fair share in terms of Italian GT as well in the past, so certainly do not count out the Guatemalan who brought their car home after Luca Franca's unbelievable stint at the start of yesterday's race to victory. He's also seen ELMS action in both 2022 and 2023, Le Mans Cup, as well as Formula Region, also in Framek as well, has taken part in FREC, of course, Formula Regional European Championship back in 2020 as well. As back comes Babini, a look briefly up the inside, but opting not for an overtake just yet. Still needs to do a little bit of work to close that gap, which stands at 3/10 so far. Armani now becoming a thing of the past, and 1.3 off the pace of Babini thus far, with 1.9 back for El Bugliotti. Second in AM class as it stands, with Evgeny Leonov for company as well, who could yet have a brilliant race here. Huge opportunity if your name is Evgeny Leonov, because of course he's not going to suffer the realms of penalties, or should I say handicaps, I should say, success handicaps, and we'll have a great chance obviously to lift a trophy aloft here this afternoon. But there's still plenty of action with 34 minutes and 20 to go. The driver change window opening in just over 5 minutes and 15 seconds.
Dieter Sveps, the only driver in the 145s on the previous lap, just on the fastest lap of the race, stretching the gap out a little bit to Ian Rodriguez. And that 911 car will still be handicapped. 5 seconds of handicap after finishing second in AM yesterday. Of course, Dieter Sveps trying to make up for the fact that he had a mechanical on the penultimate lap of the race, dragged that car to the finish line, lost the AM lead, but still managed to get it home in second place. So 5 seconds for them, 10 seconds for H. de Mello as the AM winner yesterday in 44. 10 seconds for the 91 car in second place as well, the Luke Franca Ian Rodriguez car, and also 5 seconds for the Steelers line and Nicolas Salins, number 11, the Q1 track racing car that is currently down in 15th position.
Yeah, At the moment, Nicholas Salen's occupying that 15th spot, as you so rightly say, Chris, 3/10 away from Nicholas van Dierendonck, Romagnoli in behind him as well, and also the rest of them crossing the line, including Gio Bergier, Glanco Solieri, Mauro Trentin as well, as they come through the first corners here with 33 minutes and 3 to go. 7 laps now under their belt. Here is car 44 belonging to H. de Mello. Once again marks a reappearance here in the series, taking part last season, and prior to that also a former GT4 Brazil Endurance champion in his time too, so does have some stats behind his CV, that's for sure. As now they climb the hill coming out of turn 7 through turn 8 again this time around. It's still at the moment Dieter Schweppes putting in a classy display. As always, Leandro Martins will be taking over later on, and this is form we've come to expect in a way from LMR, who, like we said, were introduced to the series not too long ago last season, and since then have gone on not only just to compete in the under the GT Sport banner, but also racing in the GT Winter Series through the course of 2025 at the very early point of this year, taking 2 wins, 5 podiums, as well as 2 pole positions. And in 2024, not having a bad run either in Cup 2 with 6 wins, coming first in that championship. But in terms of GT Cup Europe last year, he would also go on to take the AM crown with 7 wins, 7 podiums, and taking part in Porsche Cups as well, including Supercar Challenge in 2017 with 1 GT win as well, after taking 1 pole position, and it's done quite well as well in VW Polo Cup action, so almost synonymous with what we've seen for the likes of Christian Korzanowski in the world of International GT Open. He of course doing so well in the VW Cup in his own time over there. So there we are, worlds collide.
Absolutely, and it's 1.2 seconds now the lead for Dieter Schweppes, but Evgeny Leonov's got close company with Davide Larini in 83, the silver class battle there with Antoine Berberic as well. So it is Leonov being chased by 2 Myrtel cars, 1488, 1296. Davide Larini in his first weekend of GT competition after making the switch over from Italian F4 and Euro 4 last year. The son of Nicola Larini, of course, any Grand Prix fans from the 90s might remember that name, but also DTM champion as well, and he's sharing that car with Matteo Levisi, of course fought for the title with GDL in the Porsche last year alongside Federico Aurifai, now moving over into the Ferrari, and Antoine Berberic behind him, his first second weekend of racing full stop, as we mentioned, and the back of that train there, car third in AM, H. de Mello, the 44 car on his return to the championship.
Got to give credit to Levisi as well. If we look back, of course, we're going to be heading into the Spa 500 weekend very soon, and it was last year where both he and Federico Aurifai went on to take victory in the Spa weekend.
Very dramatic finale as well, wasn't it?
It was against Nicolo Schiro.
I can't remember if it was Aurifai or Levisi driving it, but it was the rain was coming down, and it ran off at the last corner as well. Very nearly gave it away.
It was Aurifai at the bus stop, coming together, obviously with Nicholas Salins, who was looking to bring bring his Ferrari home in good vein. But credit to Aurifai, brought it home.
Do you know how long that argument went on for? Because even when we got to Paul Ricard, I can't remember who it was. So someone going to be like, he should have given that place back, shouldn't he? Yes, he should have. And you're like, well, I'm not sure about that, pal. But yeah, still a little bit sore about that one, actually. So I can't remember who it was who came to me about that. But
it was a stunning final lap, though.
Change for position with Larini now ahead of Evgeny Leonov in 6th position. But this is the top 4. He's pulling away 5 seconds clear of Franville Bugliotti.
Romagnoli as well, Riccardo Romagnoli going ahead of Nicholas Salins as well. Speed trap fastest for Riccardo Romagnoli, so obviously I would imagine getting a helping hand from the maybe a slipstream as well, providing him with an opportunity to boost that pace. Now we do have a car coming in, of course the driver change window is ending in around 7 minutes and 30.
It's just opened, so yeah, first hitter there is Stefano Zerbi coming out and changing for Eugenio Pisani. The SVC run Lamborghini Super Trofeo did get back out into the race after we saw some dramas for them during the safety car period. So Luciano Privitello.
5 seconds also being awarded as well to car number 16 here out on track. That is the Volcano Motorsport of Evgeny Leonov, who is going to receive a 5-second time penalty for abuse of track limits, Chris.
Yeah, so they've had a bit of a talking to since yesterday, where the track limits abuse was obscene, just making up their own racetrack out there in the parts of the track where they weren't officially being monitored. But they've had a stern talking to since then, and they have definitely cleaned up their act. Also into the pits, Evgeny Leonov, Antoine Berberic, H. de Mello, and the 56 LMR car with Peter Furter handing over to Diego Nunes. So most of those are the solo drivers sort of coming in at the earliest opportunity, as we often see them do. And so for H. de Mello, remember, he'll be stationary for 10 seconds longer with that handicap. And I don't believe that Leonov can serve those 5 second time penalty in the pit stop either. That'll be added on at the end of the race. But you can see pit lane hive of activity with 2 GDL cars in the pit lane. Q1 Track Racing also present there as well. Lead gap's been coming down. It's just 0.6 of a second, with Ian Rodriguez closing in on Dieter Svets. Now remember, this is a silver class car against an AM car, so expect the race leader to fall back through the pack a little bit later on. So the Ebby Motors run machine, debut weekend for them in GT Cup, but the leaders continuing on for now. Another 5.5 minutes on the driver change window, and I would expect these guys will leave it to the end.
Yeah, no doubt they will. They'll be going all the way, and Dieter Schweppes' pace has been extraordinary, but Ian Rodriguez, credit to him, has not let Schweppes go. The Brazilian outfit certainly not being given any respite, and they're being held to account at the moment. You see with the cars behind looking to try and chase after them at this moment in time. So we'll soon see how that pans out. Obviously, Leandro Martin's getting ready to jump on in. Antoine Berberic now up into 13th ahead of Nunes, who's now in 14th on his outlap as well after taking a pit stop. H. de Mello also. Cosimo Papi in the pits, or cross, will be coming in with Pisani now moving up into 17th place. Gheorghe also moving up into 8th. Patrinicola will be stepping in, as well as Antianesi. Glauco Solieri also in the box as well, as now we see all of them thorough in right now.
Another 5-second time penalty coming in for the number 23 Ebby Motors car, so that's the Cosimo Papi Sebastian Fortuna car. Track limits being abused there. Into the pit lane is the number 12 machine, the Swiss Eagle Glauco Solieri car. 43, Luca Maria Attianese getting aboard that car. Simone Patrinicola also now aboard the number 80 Mertel Ferrari 296. As well, having taken over from Luca Di Marchi. Remember, that car took a hit at the start of the race that the domino effect was that it pinged Lars Zanen and Laura van den Hengel into the wall. Leaders continuing on, and it is just 1.8 seconds between them.
Yep, Simone Patrinicola now at the helm of the 80 at the moment. Leonov Berberic now also moving on through as well. Remember, of course, Leonov serving his stint already, running solo through that. And now in comes our race leader. Dieter Schweppes also in tow is Ian Rodriguez. They come in with still 3 minutes and 30 or so left to go in the driver change window. Leandro Martin stepping in for the 911 Porsche that's now in the pits. Of course, the Portuguese Leandro Martin's getting ready to jump in. The Austrian Dieter Schweppes will be popping out. Luca Franca coming in as well after his brilliant first stint as well. Also his brilliant first stint to obviously get them underway. He'll have a decent opportunity as well this time around, though they will also have to undertake some pit stop handicap as well.
So I think traffic might have played a part in this slightly earlier than anticipated stop for the 911 and the 83, because they could have gone around for another lap. But, of course, they were coming up on lap traffic with those who had already boxed.
Just want the clean air, I presume, obviously, just to make sure of it.
Thinking they're going to lose more time than it's worth getting through there. So Matteo Lovisi getting aboard number 83. It's a Pro-Am effort for him last year, now up in the silver class As out into the back out into the race comes the erstwhile race leader, now with Leandro Martins at the wheel of the car. Remember, he had 5 seconds. So really, we should have seen the Levisi car back out into the race, shouldn't we? Is he out there
Just
now?
on out
Yeah,
now,
he
yeah.
is. So
Yep.
slightly slow stop there for Mertel, I think, because they were unhandicapped in this one.
Yeah, Luca Franca also, though, having to serve 10 seconds after their victory yesterday, has actually come out behind Paoletti. Now they're starting to order up into an orderly fashion, as they should be, on exiting the pits. And Leandro Martins now on track 4th position, with Franca down in 5th. Bear in mind, though, these are currently net cars. Scanicchio coming in as well for Fabio Babini. Longoni also stepping in this time around in the 22 silver car that's now in the pits. Pietro Armani stepping out, and Longoni, who took part in Clio Cup action over the last couple of years in both Clio Cup Europe and Clio Cup Italy, now taking his spot in the car.
So this is the final few driver changes out there, with only a minute left on the driver change window. 22 minutes left on the clock in this race. So Davide Scanicchio aboard the 78 Tsunami car, Ludovico Longoni in the 22 ZRS car, and Franville Bugliotti, solo driver there in the 33 GDL Porsche. So we're going to see where this all shakes out. Here comes the former race leader, Leandro Martins. His race team's name now slapped onto the side of the car as well, and a whole new team behind him. But it is going to be the Tsunami car that comes out in front, but with a bronze driver aboard. So that's going to be Scanicchio out ahead in the Pro-Am category, but expect Ludovico Longoni to make the move sooner rather than later, because of course he's in a silver class car and he's got a bronze driver right in front of him. So they want to clear that as quick as possible. His main target is of course going to be Evgeny Leonov, who has managed to jump Matteo Levisi. So that was a slightly slow stop there for Mertel, and Levisi, Leonov, could emerge in a sort of net podium place here when it all shakes out. He's got a few of the AM cars in front of him still, but in terms of the silver class cars, it is Longoni, then Franca in 5th position, then Leonov in 6th, and Berberic in 7th ahead of Levisi as well. So Levisi's lost out to Berberic as well in all of that.
Yeah. Big opportunity here for Luca Franca once more. Again, obviously, Rodriguez handing over the car in a timely fashion. Obviously, second in silver class, but remember, that's an overall result that they're only going to be counting. So it's 5th at the moment for Franca. It needs to work to get past the likes of Vale Bugliotti, who's flying solo here this season in the GT Cup Europe Championship. Leandro Martins currently leading the AM class. Longoni 7/10 away for Scanicchio, and Babini putting in a brilliant stint to put them in a position where it's very possible for them to win the Pro-Am, with Diego Nunez being sat behind Levisi. As you so rightly say as well, Chris, we've got Patra Nicola further down as well in 12th spot. Stina's long in, also with a little bit of work to do. Currently sat 3rd in Pro-Am, as they now streak down through towards turn 1 yet again. 90 minutes and 45 to run thus far. There's Scanicchio. Getting close to the back of him is Ludovico Longoni in the 22 Porsche. As I said, taken part in Clio Cup action in the past. Scanicchio slightly different in terms of what he's taken part in prior events. Obviously, like we said, alongside Fabio Babini, he has been part of the GT Cup Europe now for quite some time. He was Pro-Am second back in 2023 with 3 podiums, but prior to that, Intercontinental GT Challenge, as well as Porsche Carrera Cup Italia Silver Cup, where he would be a winner in that with 6 wins and 11 podiums, 2 pole positions to boot as well. So he does have form in Porsche machinery, does Scanicchio, but has got plenty of tasty characters who have also been so successful in their own right in various championships in the past. And Leandro Martins looking to flex his muscles. The Portuguese, like I said, very successful in GT Winter Series coming into 2025. And last year, of course, as we all know, mentioned earlier on, GT Cup Europe 2024 and first.
So amazingly, Longoni isn't exactly all over the back of Scanicchio here, which I'm quite surprised by it, really. So Scanicchio holding on for now. It's Martins and Franville Bugliotti separated by a second and a half for the lead in AM. So there is the chasing number 33 car from GDR Racing, the Argentinian driver who's not a complete novice to the European scene. He has raced in Formula Renault and GT4 machinery across Europe. The 36-year-old from Cordoba, but now side by side for the lead with the ZRS car going for it on the inside. So that's Ludovico Longoni up into the lead now ahead of Davide Scanicchio, the silver class car making its way through on the bronze driver, and Leandro Martins fancies a run at that as well. He wants to put a car between himself and his class rival, so tries to get the up and under through turn 4 there, down the back straight. The AM champion versus multiple AM Pro-Am podium sitter. Nothing doing down there, and of course it's nose to tail now for the AM lead as Van Bugliotti tries to go for the AM lead on the inside. Don't think he quite expected to make that move going into the Tora Vip hairpin. It's side by side. Martins will still have the inside line when they get to the right-hander at turn number 7. Absolutely neck and neck between them, but it is just about the LMR car that comes out on top as they have to round out the Priviletelio Lamborghini as well.
Yeah, managing to get past as well did Leandro Martins to protect that AM lead advantage, but Vale Bugliotti, who has quite rightly won championships in his own right. If you think about Formula Renault Argentina back in 2005 to 2007, a winner back in 2006 with 3 wins and 6 podiums. He's trying to trail on the back of Leandro Martins in a pursuit of the 2 cars in front. Scanicchio currently a sitting duck with Leandro Martins all over his tail. This is such a key moment for Martins. Needs to try and get past, because it's not just all about the AM fight, but it's also about the overall fight. Now here's the moment here as we witness Scanicchio being overtaken by the 22 of Ludovico Longoni, who now leads this race at the moment. And this is the coming together as well between Leandro Martins and a very audacious look up the inside. He always had to thread the needle a bit, did Martins, right between as well. As now Martins once again on the defensive and on the attack, getting past Davide Scanicchio on the road in towards turn 1, also coming through Fanvale Bugliotti. So the battle will continue over the AM lead, but as Leandro Martins now up into overall 2nd place.
So 2 AM cars on the overall podium as it stands. Ahead now of Davide Scanicchio. So great stuff from these guys, but the silver class cars, Luca Franco, Evgeny Leonov and Antoine Berberic and Matteo Levisi closing in as well, lapping quicker than these guys at the moment. And 15 minutes to try and make their way onto the overall podium as well. A little wide there from Leandro Martins in his attempts to keep Franville Bugliotti at bay. This is the battle for the AM leads, past the Pro-Am leader as well. Worth mentioning, it's about 18 seconds between Scanicchio and his nearest class rival, which is Diego Nunes in the other LMR Porsche. So through the final sector again, less than 15 minutes to go now, and that is Luca Franco there in 91, the car that won yesterday, now on the back of this train of cars, and only 5 seconds away from the race leader as well. And currently lapping a little bit quicker, but I think it'll be a tall order to get past all 4 of these cars in the next 14.5 minutes.
Yeah, will be a tricky...
He's about to do 1, I think.
Yeah, a bit of a tricky thing to do. Scanicchio now with Luca Franco on his tail on the run down through towards turn 1 as they now race through towards the first corner. As you can just see now, late on the brakes here, a testing move here for Luca Franco, but sails past Davide Scanicchio, and a necessary one it was too. Next on his list, Leandro Martins and Vale Bugliotti. 14 minutes to try and nail down a potential podium here for Luca Franco. Joining the series, of course, with the new Fames team that was so successful yesterday in taking victory, with Rodriguez bringing the car home, and of course the silver outfit obviously going to be hard-pressed to try and catch Longoni at the moment, who's now 2.7 clear of Martins. But never say never, I have to say. Franca was faster than Longoni over the last lap, 3/10, near enough the difference between the pair, as now Martins running very wide, coming uphill, and Vel Bugliotti had a little think about sending it up the inside.
He had a swapper in the middle of that as well, and that is just going to motivate Vel Bugliotti even more. Coming out to the top of the hill at Portimao. It's still Martins who leads this fight, but that's a really great exit there for Van Bugliotti, and very nearly got it up the inside there. Now dives on the inside into 13, side by side for the lead in the AM category, and it is the GDL car that just squeezes through. So a change of lead out there, and then for second position overall. And don't forget, we've got Luca Franca right behind them on the racetrack as well now.
That's a fantastic move from Vel Bugliotti, and that is a display of experience from Porsche GT3 Cup Argentina, as well as GT4 European Series back in 2014, where he would be a winner as well in pro class. But heading down now through towards turn one again. He's ahead of Martins. Now next up, Luca Franca, looking for a piece of the pie. Very nearly close to contact on the run in towards turn one. Franca came in oh so hot, knows what's at stake. You know, if you can get free and break ahead of Leandro Martins, an excellent opportunity lies in wait, not only, of course, for the overall podium, where he would feature P3 after getting the move done, but in 12 minutes' time, if he can nail Vel Bugliotti at the same time, close up to the back of Longoni, it's just so urgent for this move to happen, because just look at the gap between Ps 1 and 2. Longoni extending to 3.6 seconds ahead of Vel Bugliotti.
And Leandro Martins is on his last track limits warning, so the next time he does one, he'll get a penalty. So he needs to very much bear that in mind in this battle with Luca Franca. It looks like it will be another AM podium for them again if they can hold this one together. This is a slow-moving Luciano Privitello. So the SVC run Lamborghini Super Trofeo, yet more dramas. We saw that car getting worked on in the pit lane during the safety car period, and he's moving slowly down towards the pit lane, very near the pit lane entry now, so hopefully that won't cause too much trouble, with now Luca Franca on the inside of Leandro Martins for what is the last spot on the podium overall.
Almost a carbon copy of what Vel Bugliotti did heading up through towards turn 13. Just wasn't quite as successful for Luca Franca.
Maybe be more successful down the start and finish straight, with Martins punching a hole in the air in his LMR run. Porsche is eponymous team, and already out of the slipstream is Luca Franca, the Italian driver. And this should be third place now for Franca and the car that won yesterday, up on the inside into turn one. And so now the question is going to be, how quickly can he get past Vel Bugliotti as well, because his pace has been hampered somewhat, stuck behind Leandro Martins, but at times he's been the quickest driver inside the top 5.
He certainly has. He was actually lapping faster than Ludovico Longoni not too long ago. He was actually one of the only drivers registering very early 147s. Over the last lap, Longoni lapped a 147.8. Bugliotti was actually faster than Longoni over the last lap. So now Franca, with a little bit of clean air in front of him, 1.8 seconds to find on Vel Bugliotti, who's still in second spot. 3.4 the gap. It did come down a little bit over the last lap. I'll have to keep our eye on the sector times again. This time Longoni by a mere 14 thousandths faster than Vel Bugliotti coming out of sector 1, so we'll keep our eyes peeled. 9 minutes and 30 to go. A lot can happen in the remaining laps, and I'd say, based on what we're seeing in terms of the laps that we are registering currently on the board, that we are likely looking at around 3 to 4 laps of action right now.
SP Racing having one of their pit stops investigated on their 55 car. Currently Eugenio Pisani at the wheel of that one. Seem to remember something coming through about track limits penalty for that car as well. So yeah, not going so well for SP at the moment, as Luca Franca out of the final corner, closing in on Vel Bugliotti. we're going to get a direct comparison here in terms of the pace, and it was a tenth quicker, but all that time made up in the last sector. Actually, it was a tenth slower in both the first and second sectors.
This is a trend that we've noticed from Luca Franca. Like I said, very early 147s. He has managed to register consistently. Longoni not quite lapping in that same vein. Bugliotti almost matching Franca. If anyone might be at threat here, it is Longoni. Obviously 3 seconds now is the gap between Bugliotti and Longoni. That has come down quite dramatically. It was 3.7 not too long ago, and bear in mind with the time that we have left, that can very easily change again. It's 2.8. We've dropped below the 3-second mark. That timer is coming down. So the silver driver, currently sat at the top of the shop in P1, might find himself with a little bit of company very soon. Not just Bugliotti, but Franca as well.
2.8 seconds the advantage for Longoni with 8 minutes on the clock. And yeah, it is all about how long it takes Luca Franca to close up to the back of the AM class leader, but it's great speed from the GDL car as it stands, but this is the race leader, Ludovico Longoni. There's a little bit of traffic in front of him as well. It's one of the Motel Ferraris, and yes, it is a 5-second time penalty for the 55 SP Racing Porsche, stopping before the pit stop window. So I'm not sure if they did their pit stop. I know we saw them in the pits earlier. That was just before the pit window, I believe. Or maybe they jumped the gun by about a second or two. Not sure. I'll have to watch the tape back on that one. Final warning going out for Davide Scanicchio as well in terms of track limits. Also for Matteo Levisi.
Look at Franca's lapping faster again. 146.9 this time. The only driver inside the top 10, or indeed the entirety of this entire grid, lapping in the 146s. It's a 146.973, I believe, as we look at the timing screen. Bugliotti last lap, 147.4. That was also faster than Longoni as well by around 0.6 of a second. So that gap is certainly cascading down. 2.4 this time around. Franca now only a second away from Franvel Bugliotti. 6 minutes and 20 to go. It could be a grandstand finish between 3 cars, 2 silvers and an AM meeting all at once as they now spear uphill. There is Luca Franca in the 91 Porsche. Of course, that went on to be successful in race 1 yesterday, and after the Guatemalan brought it home, this time it's the turn of the Italian Luca Franca, Italian touring car champion from last year, after bringing home 4 wins and 14 podiums in a mammoth season during that campaign, and now coming downhill past the Myrtel Ferrari. It's just making its way around the track stagnantly, and then in front, Franvel Bugliotti getting closer to his front end. We're now within a second. It's 0.8 of a second as they race down through the final sector.
That was a big moment there for Luca Franca, coming out of turn 13 in his pursuit of Franvel Bugliotti. Just 0.8 of a second between them now, with 5 minutes on the clock. This is looking good for Longoni as it stands, for ZRS to win on their return to the championship. 2.2 seconds. And so Franvel Bugliotti 2 tenths quicker on that previous lap than race leader Longoni.
Anything can happen. The GT Cup Europe, Longoni has done a great job out in front, but Bugliotti, if anything, I would say is surprised really in a sense of his pace at the end of this stint. Remember, running solo for GDL this season, I must say, really giving a good account of himself. And Franca is now going to be under the cosh because we're now 4 minutes and 40. Remember, that gap was 0.8. He managed to bring it in, but after trying to dodge and weave past the Myrtel car that was stagnant towards the rear of the field, obviously through blue flags, etc., it required him to try and dodge and weave coming into turn 13, and I think got a little bit unsettled as well, did the Italian behind the wheel, but trying to march forward, and it is getting a little bit closer, I think, to Val Bugliotti. 1.4 it was as they passed the last sector time. That was a 10th worse off than the 1.3 they had before, but remember, this is him trying to recover the time that was lost due to that brief moment coming up through towards turn 13, so we'll see how it looks when he crosses the timing line next time around. But he is working to try and close. He knows what this could mean. Obviously coming into this race championship leader, and he wants to maintain that as we head into our next round.
We've had a change for 5th position as well, with Evgeny Leonov moving ahead of Davide Scaniccio.
Tail looking snappy on Franca's car there.
Again. So, yeah, he's definitely wrestling the back end of that car. Oh, he's lost the car in the middle of the final corner. Round goes Luca Franca from 3rd position. We were just talking about the instability on that car, and now he's looped it, and Leandro Martins goes back through into a podium place. Evgeny Leonov will also take advantage of that as well and move up to 4th.
Well, that's... well, you can say goodbye at the moment now to that P3 altogether. That is the podium gone for Luca Franca. He's going to be absolutely gutted about that. Just getting onto the curb, it unsettled the car. It was already a little bit insecure coming out of turn 13, just losing it ever so slightly. We saw the rear end snapping coming around turn 14 as well, and it was made 10 times worse when he rode those curves. The car just could not stay on the track. Rear end out and spun down the hill. He was fortunate it did not end in a worse manner.
Luca Franca has just realised what we mean by the pendulum effect when we talk about the Porsches, because when they start to go around, it's very hard to recover them, because, of course, all the weight is out the rear end over the rear axle with the rear engines.
Again, we can hark back to Leonov back 2 years ago, coming around that very same corner where it all went wrong.
Absolutely. Of course, not used to the Porsche Cup machinery. Luca Franca's background in Clio Cup and in TCR Italy. So, not used to rear-wheel drive, not used to rear engines, not used to GT-level machinery. So we will give him a small pass on that one. 2 minutes to go, and again, this is going to be very tight. I think we'll get 2 more laps out of this one when Ludovico Longoni crosses the timing line.
Well, round 147s is what we've seen. There's Pietro Armani, of course, his teammate, did the opening stint here for Ludovico Longoni, who will now bring the car home. Of course, at the moment, we're currently lapping around the 147s. He crossed the timing line. It's going to be very tight as to whether this will be the last lap of the race, but we'll soon find out. 1.7 now between Franvel Bugliotti, who's starting to come into view. One mistake here from Longoni, and it could all be over in terms of taking the race win. So he's going to want to make sure that he brings this one home and hose. But this has been a fabulous display from Franvel Bugliotti and GDL Racing, who, of course, would have had last season Matteo Lovisi behind the wheel for them and bringing home the big results alongside Federico Al Rafai last campaign. But it's nice for them to know that they do have other drivers available to step up when required, and that's exactly what the Argentine has done this time, with all that experience in Porsche GT3 in Argentina, also in GT4 European Series action in 2014. It's coming home to roost here this time, and we've got quite a cluster further back as well, fighting over the remaining positions. But 40 seconds left. Is it all over? We'll soon find out.
Longoni, 1.4 clear of Franvel Bugliotti. The gap continuing to fluctuate. Last time around 4 tenths quicker than the Italian ahead of him. I think we should just squeeze one more lap out of this. We'll wait to see if the checkered flag is being unfurled. Another 5-second time penalty, by the way, has come the way of GDL's number 63. Gabriele Lancieri and Danilo Paoletti. This is going to be very tight. 5 seconds left. Well, he's flashing the lights, but there was no checkered flag. There was no... Well, now there's a checkered flag out there, but...
It's not yet.
Yeah, no, according to the timing screen, that was not the checkered flag. So I think it was erroneously waved there. And so Longoni was... celebrating over the line. Hopefully he doesn't slow down too much, because Bugliotti, and I think there was confusion in the garage as well there as well. No, it was not the checkered flag. The race is still on.
And he doesn't want to lift off at all, because Franvel Bugliotti is only 1.3 away, and it will be certainly no qualms on Bugliotti's part. He will want to try and snatch this one late in the day, and going late on the brakes, you just see how much he's committing to Toravip. Now it's a second now between the pair as they climb uphill. Could we see some last-minute history hysteria here at the Algarve. We'll soon find out as they fly through towards turn 7, up through towards turn 8, coming out of Samson Corner. Bugliotti putting on a stellar display here in AM class to bring himself not only the AM victory, but an overall P2 that could be an overall P1 should he manage to persevere. But it's looking all Longoni right now, holding on to that 1 second gap, looking to bring this home for the Porsche number 22 car belonging to ZRS. Pietro Armani waiting in with bated breath in what could be a sensational victory for the pairing, who did so well yesterday to certainly restore what could have been a tricky result.
So now Pietro Armani will start to celebrate. I think he's even still saying, wait, guys, wait for him to get around the last corner, because we saw what happened to Luca Franca as well. But around the final corner, and this time it will be the checkered flag for Ludovico Longoni. ZRS Motorsport are back in GT Cup Europe, and they're on the top step of the podium in race 2 in Portimao. Ludovico Longoni and Pietro Armani take their first victory in GT Cup Europe. Franville Bugliotti not only comes away with the AM victory, but a sensational second place finish overall for GDL Racing, and the reigning AM champions on the overall podium as well. Leandro Martins and Dieter Schweppes third. Luca Franco across the line in 4th, Evgeny Leonov in 6th, and Davide Scanicchio brings home the Pro-Am victory alongside Fabio Babini for the number 78 ZRS Motorsports crew. And I think that may even well be a first win for that particular pairing. I'll double check that later, as Antoine Berberic in 7th position, Diego Nunez for the 56 LMR car with Peter Furter second in Pro-Am, and Stinus Longin and Nicholas Aylens third for Q1 Track Racing in class. Completing the AM podium, H. De Mello.
Yeah, a wonderful victory for Ludovico Longoni and, of course, for Pietro Armani. And coming back after what was a sterling drive overall from Pietro Armani to close out the race yesterday to bring home an overall 3rd place. They have now gone back-to-back with podiums here once more, but this time tasting top step silverware this time around here in race 2. Credit also to Franville Bugliotti, a massive first win for him this season for the San Marino driver representing GDL Racing. Leandro Martins also taking back-to-back AM podiums as well as a first podium of the season as well too, with a 2nd place finish in AM yesterday. He gets his 2nd today.
So on the top step of the podium, it's Ludovico Longoni and Pietro Armani for ZRS Motorsport, their first win back in GT Cup Europe. 2nd overall, and the AM win going to Franville Bugliotti, joined on the AM podium and the overall podium by Leandro Martins and Dieter Schweppes from LMR. Luca Franca and Ian Rodriguez, after the win yesterday, come home in 4th. That late spin for Luca Franca hurting his efforts there. Evgeny Leonov 5th. Davide Scanicchio and Fabio Babini bring home the Pro-Am victory for Tsunami Racing Team. Antoine Berberic in 7th. Diego Nunez and Peter Furter are joined on the Pro-Am podium by Stinus Longin and Nicholas Aylens. H. De Mello completing the AM podium. Patrick Nicola and Demarchi not getting into the top 10 in the end. Further down the order, we lost Luciano Priviatelio, the RO1 racing car, and the start incident for Laura van den Hengel and Lars Zanen. That's the celebrations at ZRS Motorsport start. With them back in the championship and on the top step of the podium. Bravo indeed from Franville Bugliotti. The big hugs there at ZRS Motorsport. Very happy and very proud crew and entourage as well. After the slight confusion with the checkered flag, I'm sure there's a relief that they got the right call in the end.
Obviously a very happy Pietro Armani as well, just conversing with Ludovico Longoni after that one. A mighty display from both of them to bring the car home. It looked like there was going to be some late gains as well from Franville Bugliotti. Obviously great to see him so happy too, and yeah, massive result for him. Leandro Martins and Dieter Schweppes, credit to them once more, showing their extraordinary pace. There is Longoni, helmet off. It's very warm out there here in the Algarve, and I'm sure the taste of champagne will be all the sweeter as well. A photo in front of our winning car here in Parc Fermé, ZRS Motorsport. here in the GT Cup Europe with the first win of their season campaign.
Leandro Martins, a slight bit of redemption for his eponymous team after the mechanical yesterday that denied them the win. Let's go through the top three. Leandro Martins and Dieter Schweppes, an overall podium in addition to an AM podium as well for the LMR Run squad. AM win and second overall for Franville Bugliotti, his first of the season for the GDR Racing squad. The overall winners, ZRS Motorsport, back in GT Cup Europe, and it's Ludovico Longoni and Pietro Armoni who are on the top step.
We have two rookies winning race 2 at Portimao, Pietro Armani, Ludovico Longoni in the ZRS Motorsport Porsche. Tough race. How was it? First stint.
Yeah, starting from P3 was not easy for us. I lost a position in the first laps, but yeah, I managed the tires. I did a great job to do all the things we need to improve. So yeah, I finished the stint in P4, and then we was P2 in the exit of the pit lane. So good job from our side, the team, and also him.
Good job from Pietro. I mean, he left me in a perfect car with perfect tires, and he allowed me to push. I managed to overtake David in the first laps, and then I just pushed on. I did my homework. That's it. He left me with the easy part. So I'm really happy to be with him on the team, and this year we'll surely be here some more time, let's hope. No?
Yeah, I think we will see more of you during the season. Well done. Complimenti.
Grazie.
Highlights then from race 2 in Portimao. A big mess at the start of the race saw the 54 Q1 Track Racing Porsche and the number 7 Hans Wies Motorsport Run Porsche of Laura van den Hengel and Lars Zanen in the wall after contact with the number 80 Myrtel car, which saw us go under safety car conditions with debris all over the front straight. When we got back going again, it was Dieter Schweppes who led the field. The pit stops came into effect with Fabio Babini handing over to Davide Scaniccio and the ZRS car jumping the LMR Porsche as well. So Scaniccio came out in front, Longoni in second, with Leandro Martins holding on to third position. But the hunt began then with Longoni mounting the challenge there on Davide Scaniccio to take the overall lead of the race. Scaniccio would end up falling down the order a little bit. To the AM battle was the real highlight of the race between Leandro Martins and Franville Bugliotti that also ended up becoming for second position overall in the race. And it was a pounce on the inside at turn 13 for the Argentinian to find his way through. They continued to battle as well with Luca Franca trying to disturb the order, but he would end up losing his podium spot after this moment at the final corner, spinning the race-winning car from yesterday. ZRS Motorsport returning to GT Cup Europe and on the top step of the podium with Ludovico Longoni and Pietro Armani at the head of the field after a sterling drive in race 2 this afternoon, and surviving a little bit of checkered flag confusion as well. And we move on to the podium then, and it is overall podium honours for 2 AM cars, which is slightly unusual to see, but it has been nonetheless a fantastic performance from both the LMR Porsche squad and from GDL as well.
Yeah, I mean, credit obviously to Longoni, and obviously he was absolutely right, I think, in complimenting Pietro Armani after his initial stint. I mean, it's what you start with when you mean to go on, and you can just see there swapping of places between LMRs, Leandro Martins.
Yeah, they've just realised.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're just looking at the timing screen again, just to sort of gather as to what they were trying to do. I mean, I'm sure, you know, Leandro Martins and Dieter Schweppes would bite his hand off as well if the points would be the same as well. But yes, Armani and Longoni up at the very top.
Italian national anthem for ZRS Motorsport, the Rovigo-based outfit led by Niccolo Zambon. And returning to the championship and on the top step of the podium as well. There will be plenty of trophies for Fran Bugliotti, Leandro Martins and Dieter Schweppes as well. But Jesus Pereira, the CEO of the GT Sport organization, handing out the second place trophy. Or the third place trophies in the end. So it's not just Jesus that got confused by the podium numbers, the drivers did as well. So don't worry about that one too much.
We'll let you off there, certainly Jesus. I mean, at the end of the day, they did swap sides, so you can understand that. The Michelin representative now supplying the second place trophies here as well. Obviously, Fran Bugliotti carrying quite a collective just due to the fact that he is obviously overall P2 and also AM winner at the same time. He'll be getting those winning trophies later on, though he has to first of all commit to the second place overall for now, and the winning trophies presented by GT Sports CEO Jesus Pereira to our winners, Pietro Armani, Ludovico Longoni, winners here at Portimao here in race 2.
They'll pose for the photographs and then spray the champagne, which has been well earned. Of course, those AM runners as well, they're going to have a double dosing of it.
They will.
I think as well.
It's not so bad on Sunday, though, when you don't need it the next day.
No, so. that's true. It depends what time the flight is, I suppose, as well. You don't want to go onto it stinking of champagne. You've got some funny looks at security.
Definitely recommend a shower.
Yes,
after this. Goodness me. But yes, while they clean up here after the overall podium. Next up, of course, we will have the Pro-Am. And, of course, Davide Scanicchio, Fabio Babini leading that contingent. Diego Nunez finishing in 8th as well. Stephen Long in as well. Nicholas Salins also part of this top 3 battle. If we take a look at Diego Nunez as well, in car number 56, partnered with Peter Furter. They had a very busy start to the race as well, with Peter Furter looking to make places early on. But Scanicchio bringing it home on the day. Babini with an incredible first stint again.
Yes, I will have to double check later on if there is a first win for that combination. But third position, it's Q1 track racing, so that's back-to-back Pro-Am podiums for them after their second place finish for the number 11 crew of Nicolas Salins and Stinas Longin. Second place going to Diego Nunes and Peter Furter, so it's double delight for LMR in terms of both the overall AM and Pro-Am podiums, and their first podium finish in class together as well.
I think I can confirm, Chris, that there was no win at all for Davide Scanicchio or Fabio Babini historically. They've only had podiums at best in both 2023 and 2024 in Pro-Am.
Last year they had Barcelona and Hockenheim, I think it was, wasn't it? So
yeah.
It is then for the first time collecting the winners' trophies shortly. As LMR building up their trophy cabinet in their first season of competition.
Just taking his badge off on the left-hand side with the trophy.
But now, for the first time, it is Davide Scanicchio and Fabio Babini who claimed the winners' trophies in Pro-Am for the Tsunami Racing team. That's a big moment for them.
Yeah, of course, Fabio Babini's been very busy, taking part in the International GT Open Championship as well with Johannes Zelger and Tsunami RT, and now spraying the champagne here. And Davide Scanicchio, what a proud moment for him as well on the top step of the podium for the first time. Whilst he's shared P2 and P3 success in class in the past in Pro-Am, this time he tastes victory.
Oh, right down the back of the suit as well. That was cruel. And so we will soon move on to the AM podium as well.
Back-to-back podiums for H. de Mello as well.
Yeah, after the win yesterday, it is third position in category for H. de Mello aboard the number 44 GDL car. And, of course, we already know our top 2 from the overall podium as well. It's Leandro Martins and Dieter Schweppes. And, yes, a check of the number this time for H. de Mello after seeing the overall podium. But it's Leandro Martins and Dieter Schweppes. Welcome back to the podium, a step higher this time. And also for Fran Vilbugliotti, his first ever win in the AM category of the GT Cup Europe. The Argentinian on the top step.
Very keen, already loosening the cork on the champagne bottle as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to anticipate these things, haven't you? So,
Of course you do.
yeah, so we've got yesterday's race winner, today's race winner, the reigning champions out there as well, the Michelin representative giving the trophies to Leandro Martins and Dieter Sveps. And then finally it will be the winner's trophy presented by Jesus Pereira for Fran Vilbugliotti.
Good day to be Leandro Martins and Dieter Schweppes. Portuguese team, Chris.
Yes, absolutely. Home race for the outfit. But now we move on to the second round of the championship on the 17th and 18th of May at Spa-Francorchamps. We'll see you then.